Hey guys, my name is Katherine Tucker. I hope that all of you are doing well during quarantine or staying at home, doing school from home. I know I've been working from home for 5 weeks now, just like you guys have been out of school for that long. And it has been challenging, but it's also had some perks. And so I hope that everyone out there is able to find some silver lining during these strange times that we are facing. So, like I said, my name is Katherine, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my career. I am friends with Miss Tingle, who works as a guidance counselor at Wade Hampton, so that's how I got connected to the career fair. And so, just want to tell you a little bit about myself and about my career, and hopefully, some of you guys can learn something from it. And if you have questions or um, yeah, really, if you have questions or want to reach out, feel free to ask Miss Tingle, and she could get you connected with me. So, um, again, I'm Katherine Tucker, and I am a CPA, which stands for Certified Public Accountant. So, I went to school and got my bachelor's in accounting from Clemson University, and then I went and got my master's in accounting from Clemson as well. And I started out my career, well, first of all, I finished school in 2014 for undergrad and 2016 for graduate school. And so I've been in the workforce for about 3.5 years, and I've been in Greenville the whole time. So I'm same town as all of you. And so I started out my career in public accounting, which means I worked in a public accounting firm, and I did taxes. So, every year, pretty much every citizen in the U.S. has to file a tax return, generally speaking. And so that's what I was doing, is filing taxes for companies and individuals. And I learned a lot, and it was very interesting. So I did that for a couple of years, and now for the last probably a year and a half, I've been working in industry, which means I went from public accounting to industry, and now I work for a water company. So we do water and wastewater treatment services across the state of South Carolina, and I'm now a financial analyst. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I went from the world of accounting to the world of finance. And those two paths are similar but have some key differences. So if you're thinking about business or math, those are two great options, but they are different. But like I said, my current role is a financial analyst, and so my day-to-day looks like, well, right now it looks a little different, obviously, because I'm working from home, but on a day-to-day basis, I spend a lot of time in spreadsheets. So I'm working in Excel all the time, and I spend time, since I'm working from home right now, on the phone with my boss and his boss, kind of working through different projects that we're doing. So I help our company with our budget process and creating the budget and then monitoring the budget on a monthly basis. And I work with the different guys who run the utility company out in the field. I meet with them on a monthly basis to talk about how they're doing with their spending, and if they're spending too much money on chemicals, or they have extra money in other areas. We kind of walk through that on a monthly basis, so that at the end of the year we are in a good spot with our budget. And at the end of the day, companies need to make money to survive and pay their people, so we've got to come out having brought in more money than we spent. So that's what we really, when we talk about a budget, what we're doing on a monthly and quarterly basis, and then of course a yearly basis as well. But yeah, average day for me is a lot of time in spreadsheets, and it's a lot of individualized work. So I'm not necessarily talking to people a lot throughout the day, which is hard for me. So that's that's definitely the hardest part of the job for me, is just being either alone, or I'm not necessarily just conversing with people a lot throughout the day. So that's the most challenging part for me. And then the best part for me, there's a lot of perks. Number one, my company is great because as a utility company, we're pretty much recession proof. So like right now, going through a global pandemic, our company, yeah, we're, the pandemic does affect us, but at the end of the day, we're utilities, and we're providing water for people, and we're providing treatment for the wastewater that comes from people's homes and businesses. And so we have to continue running. So there's stability in my job. I remember when I took this job, my mentor who hired me said, utility business is recession proof. And so the stability of the job is great. I also have a lot of flexibility. So my typical, time that I'm expected to be at work is maybe say 8:30 to 5:30 every day. But there's some days when I might work more than that, and some days I might work less than that. But at the end of the day, the way that my job is set up is as long as I'm getting my work done and I'm generally available between 8 and 5:30, then everything is good. So if especially working from home, I've been able to go on runs at any time in the day. If I want to go exercise, I can. And of course, I'll tell my boss this is what I'm doing, but I have the flexibility to do that. So that's a really nice part. Another nice part, I'll just not even try to sugarcoat it, is that I'm able to support myself. So I am married now, but for the first 3 years of my career, I was single. And so being an accountant or being a financial analyst provided me enough income so that I could support myself. And that's really important when you're choosing a career, is to choose something that you will be able to support yourself, especially as a female. I think a lot of times, traditionally, people might think differently about careers, but I think the sky's the limit. And so I'm very grateful that I was able to get into this field so that I can, ultimately support myself. I think that's it. I've talked about my licenses, degrees, my current role, my average day, the best part, the worst part, or the hardest part. I think that's it. But yeah, I really do most days like my job, and it's been a good field for me. I'll be happy to talk or answer any questions. Maybe something I didn't cover is like, why did I choose accounting? I know growing up, I always was very organized and detail oriented, and I liked math. And so that ultimately those three things is kind of what led me to accounting. But beware, because accounting is not a ton of math. It's mostly just like the four main functions of math: add, subtract, multiply, divide. Besides that, it's a lot of critical thinking about what the numbers mean. So keep that in mind. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about is accounting versus finance. So accounting, again, is what I started out in, but now I'm in finance. And so, like, if you were thinking you want to do something with business and something with numbers, those two fields would be definitely what you want to look into. But accounting, generally speaking, is more looking back on history of a company's financials. And then finance is looking forward. So accounting looks back at what has happened and analyzes those numbers, and it's just basically record keeping at its most simple form. But then finance is more planning for the future and budgeting and what, looking ahead type thing. So a lot of schools will provide where you can get either a double major, or you can get like an accounting major and a finance minor. So I might recommend that if you're interested in both, to do one as your major and one as your minor. But anyways, I better go because it's getting long, but I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you're having a good experience with your virtual career day. So good luck to everyone out there, and stay safe and stay healthy.